What's up, bros? Hey, listen to me, guys. We're gonna do a quick meditation, okay? Morning meditation. I just want you to do me a favor and sit however you want, most comfortably, most erect as possible. Okay, you're gonna wanna do breathe. You're gonna breathe through your nose, real slow through your nose, and then out through your mouth. Just sit and relax, okay? And sort of allow your thoughts to just happen. You're going to be fighting for entertainment. You're going to look. Your brain's going to be looking for entertainment. Close your eyes. Put your hands in your lap. And if you need to, wiggle your fingers and toes, because that helps you stay distracted. But just concentrate on your breathing. Like the first part of the day, man. You do this every day, and you're suddenly going to change everything in the way you look at the world. Okay? And I know it seems silly, but it's a good exercise that you should do every day. And at least it'll make you feel a whole lot better. So give me a minute to see if I can get the damn music to come on. Okay, so it's 7 minutes every day. You want to do this every day for seven. You want to do this every single day and for 30 days. And then after you're done doing this, you want to do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 air squats. Those two things together, you will knock out more than most people do in a lifetime if you do that every day for 30 days. The reason why it takes 18 minutes to do the entire routine. And if you do that for 30 days, by the end of 30 days, now I'm telling you guys this because I'm doing this every day. I'm not doing it taking Saturdays and Sundays off. I'm doing it every day. And so far, as you can see my face, as I shaved my massive beard down so I could wear air masks, is that I'm getting chiseled face as a result of it. So you want to do that. You want to make sure that you always look chiseled in the face because chiseled face says and appears healthy. If you're fat in the face, that shows that you have stuff like high blood pressure. So you would better off looking thinner than you are looking fatter. Even if you are fat, within a matter of 2 weeks, you're going to see a difference. Within 4 weeks, that's 30 days, you'll look better. And if you're already shredded skinny, you can get bigger this way. And it doesn't seem like much, but if you trick your body into, working hard, eventually you're going to end up getting bigger as a result or thinner as a result. There's no way to stay the same if you change just a couple of things of what way you train. If you start by doing these two things every day for 30 days, there's no chance that you'll stay the same. Period. I don't care what condition you're in. You guys saw my friend. I put him in the thing there in the thumbnail. He lost 128 pounds in 2 years. And so, good for him. But I don't want you to have to lose that much weight. I just want you to be able to change one small routine. And if you do this every day for 30 days, you'll start to say, oh my God, the professor was right. And now I'm starting to see more and more and more details in life. Okay, so that's all I want you to do. And we're not even going to use music or anything. I just want you to take 30 seconds and do this with me. Okay, 30 seconds. The reason why I'm wearing sunglasses is like the sun is coming up here in Mexico and it is brutal. So start that off with me right now. You're going to take and close your eyes. Okay. You're going to close your eyes. You don't have to worry about anything. This is not a religious practice. All it is breath. And you're going to start by taking a deep breath in. And I want you to do something a little bit different here. I want you to take your fingers and put them right here underneath your cheekbones. Okay. And you're going to feel that little bit of skin. Okay. I want you to push up on that. And I want you to take a big, deep breath like this. And then take an extra breath. I want you to hold it for 5 seconds, real 5 seconds. Okay. Push that up. And then breathe it out. That right there, that what this does right here, and when you take that second breath in, it creates oxytocin and another blast of oxide. I just learned this. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. But what has happened is that I've been able to breathe better. If you've had any kind of lung damage or anything like that, you can breathe better from doing this. Okay. So anytime there's inflammation or anything like that, a sinus infection, which I partially had, you're not able to breathe right. You're not able to breathe right. You don't sleep good. When you wake up, you feel like dog crap. Okay, so hold on one second. I got to do the banners because you guys keep telling me that I'm going to do that there. So here it goes. And all I want you to do is just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in through the nose. And then the last one, I want you to push all the air out. Hold it. Now you breathe normally. Now you've seen the thumbnail and you know what this is about. This is the thumbnail basically says that squatters are moving into these millionaires' mansions up in Beverly Hills now. And if you happen to go on vacation or whatever, and you come back and you have squatters in your $5 million mansion, or maybe you got a mansion that's maybe it's on display up in the Hollywood Hills, or perhaps in somewhere nice, and you come back and the squatters are there, according to the laws up there, they're allowed to sit in your house. They're allowed to sit in your house, and then after 30 days, they take possession of the house. Now, I already know this, and you've heard this already. If you have not, surprise, surprise. But everybody on the regular side of town is having houses invaded by squatters from wherever doing whatever, and they are getting what they call leases from people and paying deposits, and it's happening. It's happening, okay? And that's what it's deliberately happening because they want people to become disrupted with housing, so they become dependent on some entity to take care of them. Because people are soft and have no way of, they have no survival skills. And this dog is driving me crazy, okay? Because it's brand new, it doesn't know any better. But anyway, I just think that what's happening in the real world with regular people is now happening to the elite in Hollywood. And now people are paying attention, and now they ring the alarm. Now they call the police. Now they need the police. So no, what other people are doing is they're taking the laws and they're using those laws in their favor, and that is getting a notarized document, a lease from the real owner of those houses, and then having that person move into the house, and then when the squatters leave, they change the locks. And if the squatters debate it, they have to take that other person to court, and then the squatter has to sue basically the real tenant that the owner put in. And so what happens is they make the squatter's life uncomfortable until they leave. So it's a non-violent approach to a situation like that. However, there is a couple other guys who have, now listen, I don't know if these are true stories or if they are made up. But this dog is driving me nuts. Hold on a minute. So anyway, it doesn't feel good to have a squatter move in your house. I can just imagine. Right across the street from me is an abandoned house that some squatters were living in. And they, you know, what's interesting is that they allow squatters to move into these houses. And it makes me wonder if all of these houses, there were mansions around San Francisco, for example, around, when was the gold rush? Yeah. So there were all these big houses, boom houses, started off with 200 miners and ended up with 10,000 miners moving to San Francisco during the 1860s gold rush. Okay, 1840s. So, sorry, guys, 1840s. So why were they there? When did this happen? When did these things get discovered? What the hell was going on in California before the 1849 gold rush? And these millionaires that came out of nowhere with all these resources and funding, and how they got these mega mansions, basically small castles, in under a couple of years, just using people with ropes and donkeys and carts. And let's take a look at the Hollywood Hills. Whose houses are those? Whose homes that cost $150 million that have the pools that, what do they call the infinity pools, and 50-person staff to take care of them, and they have their own chauffeur, but they also have a valet in these mansions. I built several houses by myself, but I've also taken other houses that have been like shit and renovated them and made them into beautiful houses, knocked down walls, cut holes, and put in archways and things like that, just out of artistic, liberty of my own shit. And I'm coming to find out is that nothing that we own and nothing that has, the reason why these people were wealthy to begin with is because they had money that was stolen. They had money that was found money. They found gold in these old houses. I believe that. They found these palaces, and there was gold in them. And I'm going to tell you something. I would have changed that. If I owned a palace, I found an abandoned palace, and I was allowed to move into it and build it. If there was no, governing body saying that there's nothing restricting me as a person that is interested in property XYZ for safety or whatever. And I'm talking about ruins. I'm not talking about an abandoned house that grandma just passed away and some asshole moves in and says, it's mine now. That's not, that's above fucking, that's below, it's just disgusting. But what makes us any different? Well, us, not us, the elites that had this money, that had these lands long before the 1840s gold rush, they just moved into these houses, these big empty mansions. Now, what the hell is the difference? $5 million mansion in 2024 or a palace that who the hell knows how much they would have cost to build in Neolithic fucking stones. Who the hell knows? And those people had wealth beyond wealth. I mean, gold, especially in California. And those people had gold, and they moved gold, and they buried gold, and they had gold. And if they were wiped out, that means that all their homes, all their clothes, all their belongings are still in those homes. Even if they are mud-flooded buildings, gold isn't going to rust. And a lot of times, those old pictures that you and I see of the 1860s, where men are wearing brand new suits, and they're all very, formally dressed, and then you go to the pictures of them at the beach in California, and they're all wearing long clothes and hats and very formal clothing that very doesn't look like it even belongs to them, because they're posing for history in the wealthiest people's clothing that passed away during that cataclysm, that civilization that existed in California before all of our history that we were told about. And I found this out very sneakily. Somebody told me that this part of Mexico City, It's called Benito Juarez. Okay, and prior to the modernization of Mexico City, that Benito Juarez was abandoned. There was a revolution, and this is, by the way, where people, the wealthiest people, lived in this particular area. The revolution forced these people out of this particular area, and the whole area was abandoned for over 100 years. And I went to a Christmas party. I don't know, no, it wasn't a Christmas party. It was a birthday party that was like a costume themed party. And so they had this big spiral staircase as you went in, and went off to 3 different like loft areas. And then you go upstairs and you suddenly realize you're only walking, you think it looks fancy. From the front, it doesn't look like shit. It looks like a small entrance to a very house that, you know, is old as fuck, that had, you know, all the decorative outdoor, you know, concrete work and stuff like that, and limestone and marble, mostly marble, mined marble, hand carved marble, all that stuff, all there on the outside. But you don't see much when you go in. And then when you go in and you go up to the top floor, the first floor, it's not even the top floor, it's the first floor. You're actually down in the basement. You see, the street floor isn't even the street floor anymore, because all this was flooded, and there are 3 or 4 stories down below the street. And the reason why I know that is when you go downstairs, you can definitely tell that that used to be the front part of the house. But you're not even looking at that. We're talking about long hallways that are longer than tennis courts, like a tennis court, going from the bottom floor all the way. It's scary almost. And there are doorways as if you have like a small hotel or something like that in the bottom. Hey, in the bottom floor, and then open up to conference rooms and small theaters downstairs, 3 stories down below the street before you would even know it. And then take a big old nice long step, and there's another stairway that's even bigger than the last one. That doesn't look like a service stairway. It actually looks more like a formal stairway that has been all fucked up because it was under, 12 feet of mud or water or whatever for over 100 years. And so when you go down in these creepy fucking buildings, you'll see how much trouble these people went through to top over the bottom floors of these buildings, brick them over, tar them over, and make them go away for fucking ever. And so I've been able to experience this in Mexico, bigger experiences in Germany, when somebody invited me once to a concert. And they said, hey, I got friends that are friends and we want to go down to this concert. And so we went to this, again, a small entrance to a building. There's just one door. It looks like a garage or something like that. And you go down, and there's this big dude in a suit. Okay, and the big dude in the suit looks like he works for the mafia. He goes and lets you in, and you go down this long stairway, and you can hear the thunder of bass of music. And so down another set of stairs, and there's another guy in another window door. And they go in and open the door, and there is a bar, 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, a stage that has a jazz band playing. Everyone is dressed super nice with suits on and nice clothes, and people with their hair done. And they're down in this basement that's not even it's a bunker. It's not a basement, it's a bunker. And the bunker went on even for, I was like needing a bathroom, okay, because there was a stage, there was dancing, and there was people eating and stuff like that, and a kitchen, and a whole deal. I mean, surround sound, just elegant as fuck. The ceiling heights in this thing were probably about 14, yeah, I'd say over 12 feet tall, easily. The ceiling appeared to have been like a cave, but they've, trimmed it off and supported it up. So it didn't appear to be a cave. It looked more like just part of the building. But it was definitely a huge section of the underground that was there. So now we've all discovered that there are all these caves everywhere. Now we've all discovered that what was attached to these caves were these homes that were above, palaces that were above. And what we have now, and this is just talking about me personally, that I'm working on right now, and that's a similar sort of it's a hacienda, which is a small palace, and it's just a small part of the palace. It's just a small piece, and who the hell knows what the original structure looked like, because it was all knocked down. It's a ruin, and it's probably about 1,000 years old. But it has been founded in 1810. Now, the reason why 1810 is important, because that would be the revolution, the independence of Mexico from Spain, and the year that occurred, there was these, cataclysms that occurred right afterwards that flooded out most of Mexico. And again, just like the United States, Neolithic buildings that existed as palaces that had all these very, very just elaborate decorations on the outside were all made to disappear. And what people cannot do is predict when they dig down in the ground, or if they have ground penetrating radar, they'll be able to find and identify where things are, especially if they're old. They're not where you think they are. Like, for example, if the town in which you live runs north and south, for example, and like the center of town would be the north and south, where it connects from, right there, if you had like a meridian or something like that, and it connected right there, your house, your entire structure would not be like a square. You would think, oh, I'm going to set up a building like a square. No, what they would do is instead do like a zigzag formula on the outside of towns. And they would build these massive walls, and they would make them very, very tall and very, very thick. So they weren't just impossible to break. Like, they would be like dikes. A dike would be something like a 45-degree angle, and on the front side it would be flattened out like this. So they would give the ability for people to, if they wanted to really keep an eye on their properties, they have a 45-degree wall in which to defend, and then they have a flat side like this. And this would be where the outside of your property would be. And the wall would be so tall, it would be ridiculous to even think about, you fucking throw a rope or something like that. But what's on the tops of these walls are walkways all the way around these structures, so that you could literally look over like this and without any problem at all be able to push somebody's ladder off before they, could defend themselves. And so you would have enough soldiers, or in this case, well, in Mexico, they had revolutionaries. And that were just citizens that, like the United States would say, a militia. And so there was this great big conflict here in Mexico between the haves and the have-nots. And the revolutionaries were the have-nots. And the people who were in charge were very, very abusive. They always have been, and they always probably ever will be in every country I've ever been to. And that is people that don't look at people as people. And those are people who look down on people as numbers and garbage. They don't mean anything. Nobody means anything to these people. You don't mean anything to them, no matter what. You do not fucking mean shit to anyone in politics, anyone that is above the glass ceiling. See, there are a lot of politicians that are very honest, and they're down on the local levels, and when they get to the municipality levels, they're given a choice to sign their life away to this, sign their soul away to the devil and become very, very wealthy and powerful, and then no longer have the problems that normal people have. But it comes at a price. And it comes at a price of, at the end of your run of success, you'll lose your health, you'll lose your family, or you may lose a family member as a result of it, because it's all satanic. They sign in blood or whatever so that they may have mortal success in these 3D printed bodies, these meat machines. And as the sun rises outside here in Mexico, you realize that we're in the Matrix. It doesn't matter what the fuck happens to those people, because this is all a show. Every single thing. This has got to be the most fucked up cover-ups, conspiracy, super conspiracy of all time. And I'm surprised that people aren't paying more attention to it. Now some people are seriously paying attention to the horse shit that has happened. It was all a show, every bit of it. All made up. And it was built on top of another civilization that existed before us. So anybody who thinks that somehow this person, jumped up, stepped out, and was able to get lots and lots of money from their value is wrong. Because a lot of their money is old money from their grandpa's grandpa that stole this money or found this money, and maybe perhaps some prior to a cataclysm indigenous American society that could have consisted of blacks, browns, Irish people with red hair, and giants. So that's what I've gotten so far from California, mega mansions and huge structures that are incredibly impossible to fucking comprehend, that came from the last civilization, that people have covered up and painted with plaster and painted white and said, no, they built this in 1806, when in reality it was more than 1,000 years old, and all they did was dig it up. And a lot of these things that are perfect, like scale perfect, have been covered in things like concrete and then chiseled away as if to say that they made these sculptures that were flawless in the middle of nowhere. And those characters that are on those figures have been repurposed as historical figures for us in the modern day. Because at the time, there was no communication. There was no video. You guys got to understand something. Prior to the 90s, we didn't have, internet. There was a time where nobody had computers. You had to do things on the phone. You had to pick up the phone and be like, call. And you had to have a cable attached. And you had to stay close to the phone because it was attached to something that you had to hang up. And you were lucky if you had a cordless phone that had a big, long antenna on top like this that broke all the time. And you could pull it up and you could be on the phone, walking around your house. And that battery never got dead because you always hung the thing up on a charger. So as you can see, guys, we went through a bit of a fucking change that suddenly made everybody capable of understanding and realizing and seeing that there was more to this world than meets the eye. And that is the case that happened now in South America, when you have a country that used to be prosperous as a motherfucker in Venezuela, and everybody had a ranch and everybody had a house in town, and everybody went to private school, and they had ranches and they had very, very humble lifestyles, but everybody was super wealthy, period. The same was true in these other countries, and what they have done is systematically destroyed those countries by installing bad leadership and allowing those countries to implode so that they can make the resources and get them at a cheaper price and then fuck the rest of the world. So that's what they've been doing, and I don't really, not going to in vain, but it was all based on a lot of lies. Based on a lot of bullshit. So I'm not interested in celebrities or who's whatever, but I will tell you this, is that those celebrities are no different than the past cataclysm when somebody moved into an empty mansion, an empty castle, suddenly finds a barrel of gold coins and changes their life overnight. And then they move into the closet and they start, digging out fucking clothes and everything. And then, wow, I am now king. Precisely. Okay. So now what's happening the same way, except we're not all dead yet, and it hasn't been a cataclysm yet. But if you guys looked at that doomsday map where it shows all of California all the way up to Nevada underwater, and all of Baja California is underwater, Well, that happened before. That's not new. That happened before, but nobody seems to know when the fuck it happened because that part of history was erased because there's no communication in the world in that time of year. So the whole thing that the world started in Africa and that England was the first, to go travel this and that, and then Spain and everybody else and the Romans. But the Romans were the ones that took over because everybody was a fucking barbarian at the time. Okay, guys, we didn't have communication. We didn't have writing. People couldn't read. And so people were isolated into small villages, and there were only a few people that ventured out of those small villages to go out and look for things and perhaps look for resources and to learn more about whatever. And what they do is they would find other places and they would go, oh, wow, this looks good. And see, at the time, this is post cataclysm. This is after the flood of Noah and all that stuff. These are empty megalith buildings that look like churches or, like you would say, laboratories that we turned into like insane asylums, painted them up with a new technique of a spray gun that sprayed out calcium that made old buildings look like brand new white buildings. So we were able to walk in to a mud flooded, devastated town, clean and spray these old buildings and made them look like new, wow, very Gothic colonial buildings. But yet we lived in what was that? Abraham Lincoln was born in a what? A log cabin. So as you can see, if the buildings at this date existed and looked like this during the time that Abraham Lincoln was born, wouldn't it make sense, especially if he was born in Illinois, which clearly there were megalithic buildings there, and you can go there in person now and you can see down below they would build on top of other buildings and then spray them with this special calcium that made it all look like brand new white buildings. And they were all decorated and dollied up. Now, one thing you ought to know about the Irish, and this was like a smoking gun for me, because the Irish are known for something really special, and that's called Irish plaster. In particularly the crown molding in a lot of beautiful homes and mansions and things like that, especially in palaces and churches, is the type of plaster work that they do for crown molding. It's unique. It's all done by hand. You see the ceiling here where I am right now? Okay, so the ceiling here does not have crown molding. It's just a squared off ceiling of, this is cement, that's cement, and then they would put a decorative trim on the inside of these ceilings. You see? And you would put it would go right there. And it would probably be about 6 inches thick, and it would be really decorative and beautiful. Well, the Irish are famous for that particular style of plasterwork. So when you go to another country that has nothing to do with the Irish, and then you take a piece of the plaster that may or may not have fibers of hay in it, you would take this piece of material, send it off for carbon-14 dating, and it will come back to be close to 800 years old. So you're looking at something that came out of the 12th century. The 12th century, okay? And yet the building is founded in 1810. So you're telling me that they used hay that's over 100, like 700 years older than the building was built, that they used hay or bricks or whatever to make buildings 800 years later? Doesn't make any sense. And that's why we've been told some fucking horse shit for years. And so when I think about what's happening with people squatting, which is disgusting and needs to stop, is ridiculous. Can't believe people are so low. And start learning to tribe up and live in your own, what I would like to call your own hacienda. Okay, and what I mean by that is there's enough land in the United States for you and your family to have their own walled-in structure that has its own barbershop, its own meat production, its own fruits and vegetables, vertically grown in hydroponics. And now I'm not talking about like something that is unsustainable whatsoever. I'm talking about something that's hyper sustainable, because there's always the ability to go down. Okay, building up is great, but you can always build down. And if you own a small piece of land, you and your family can build their own individual houses, their own individual mansions, their own individual self-contained, everything apparatus right there in their own place. And everybody could have their own if they have their own family. Now, let's just say that you played a game of lawn darts. And let's just say we used a football field, and I was to take all of America after a massive reset. Nobody owns shit after a reset, guys. All of us, there's no electricity. We're all broke. Everybody is on the same fucking playing field now. All the rich are no longer rich because everybody has everything is gone. There's nothing of value that is worth anything. Your Ferrari, your Lamborghini, your Tesla has been under 15 meters of water, mostly seawater, for months and months and months, if not years. Your home is destroyed. Everything of value is destroyed. All the bodies in the cemeteries have floated to the top. All that is gone. There is no indication of human civilization being anywhere when the water recedes. Only thing that's left is mud everywhere, and the tops of buildings sitting above mud and dirt. But look how beautiful it is. So everybody gets a lawn dart, and I'm gonna give everybody a lawn dart right now. Special lawn dart just for you. And then with that special lawn dart, you're able to throw on the map of anywhere in the United States you care to live. If you like California, wonderful. You want to live in, let's see, well, Miami is still muddy. It's a swamp still, again. Orlando is too. It's a mega swamp. But like I said, there's still parts around the north that are no longer underwater. But you have this whole map, and you have a lawn dart. And here is the football field with that map on it. You could throw those lawn darts, and then wherever that lands, that's where you get your ranch. And now in that ranch, you have your own laws, meaning that nobody comes into the ranch without permission. No one goes out of the ranch without permission for safety reasons. And if your ranch and another person's ranch somehow communicates, because there is no electronic communication, there are no telephones, you'd be fortunate if you had CB radios that you could invent. But you have to come up with batteries and electricity all over again. And none of that would be happening. None of you guys who think that, oh, I got all this survival food for 12 fucking years stored up in my basement. There is no more basement. There is no more basement. There's no survival food. There's no more house. There's no more land that was under the foundation of that house. There is no more. What is there now is a ravine of dry land that was once a 400-foot valley full of water, which was once your house before a massive cataclysm. That is how quickly we forget. We're humans that have amnesia. We're a people who have amnesia that not only do we not want to believe that we're not the first to come and, hello, I'm going to build this land here. I'm going to build me a big house on stuff. We're not the first. You're not the first. I'm not the first. Not to be the last. If we have a cataclysm, only the people who are the strongest will survive, because most of the population has no capacity for work and knows nothing about agriculture, which is going to be necessary, does not have the ability to hunt with their bare hands or fish, so there's a lot of just things that if you don't teach your kids now how to do this stuff, no one will ever teach them again. And So my thing is that if you have the ability to buy a piece of land that can be in any country, doesn't have to be in the States, and you can go and you can build a wall around something that will give you nighttime security from, wild animals or invaders. Because after a cataclysm and things like that, after things like that, there's not going to be any resources. So the only people that you're going to see anywhere, even after a cataclysm, are going to be survivors that have been just like you, that have no means of communication to anybody or anything of support. And you don't know about the rest of the world. All you know is that there's a massive blackout. Now there's been a flood. Now there's been a recession of the waters. Now you'll see that the whole civilization is fucking dead, except for a few people that managed to survive. What are they going to do? Is they're going to try and survive off of you. And so what did that mean? I mean, it's eating other people because they don't have the ability to fend for themselves. And the world's so screwed up, you're not going to go and dig a farm and plant seeds. Where are you going to get all that stuff from? Like I said, it's dismal. And if you guys think Mad Max is off base, yeah, it's a little wild out there. But if you could just imagine, the only people that you come in contact with are people that want to kill you to eat you or to take your resources or water. They're not there to become your friends. So it's not going to be a fun world. And what's going to become of the strong and independent? What's going to happen to them? You guys don't even know. I know the migrants. I live in Mexico. I've seen them all. I met them all. I know them. I've lived amongst them. They do not believe in fucking laws. And laws are dumb. And the things that they say that are dumb about laws are, well, they're logical things to me. The only thing that annoys me is their lawlessness when it comes to traffic and parking, because it's real super inconsiderate. They don't give a fuck when it comes to driving. They'll drive through, and when it comes to like a toll or something, there'll like be 15 cars on both sides trying to steal for first, when they could just stay in the same line and not delay lines. But that's their logic, is who's first. And then they, you know what I mean? It's like they try to always do the fucking wrong thing. And so that's life, though. That's life. They always are trying to jump to the front of the line. So anyway, Matrix is still real, and now the people that are stuck in that Matrix are starting to get red-pilled by the reality of that there might be somebody living in their fucking house when they come back from the economic earthquake. So what most people are doing is bunkering down and finding other places to live. And I think that, well, they know something we don't know. And I think that's why they're all dipping. And that's what it is with the rats. They're the first to fucking run off the ship when the ship is sinking. And I hope this all helped you guys out because, I mean, think about it. We're no different. We are no different than the squatters. We are the cataclysm survivors that moved into palaces. And all this is an economic earthquake, an economic political earthquake that has disrupted the lives of fucking everybody. And who's to blame? The same shit that was to blame the last time. Same. Hey, I'm the professor, and I'm out, man.